Hi, Altitude viewers. It's Mike Riley here. Slightly longer video than I often do, and I wanted to talk today about making more money. So often I meet with clients, and people talk about wanting to do more with their savings towards their future, and it always seems to come down to their limited funds and talking about cutting back. And unlike everybody else, cutting back isn't a lot of fun. Certainly we should make sure that saving comes off the top. But very often people aren't looking at actually making more money. And I'm not talking about getting a raise or working harder or taking on a second job. If you're like most people, your lives are already busy enough, and you want to be able to devote some of your spare time to yourself or to your family or to improving travel, other fun things. So getting a second job isn't always a great answer. But sometimes we can find other ways to generate income streams out there with things that we already have in our hands now. And there's three main ways to do this. There's some variations, but basically there's three. The first is investing. Generally, the concept is that you take a large sum of money and you put it into the marketplace. Generally, if you're looking for things that are income revenue generating, so it's monthly income, you're probably looking at things like debt instruments like bonds or mortgage-backed funds. So the volatility is a little lower, and that can be a great way to do it. One of of course, like anything else, there's pros and cons. The pro is that it hardly takes any time. You take the money and you put it in, and the market just does what it's going to do. Hopefully, you're working with an advisor so that you're making smart decisions about that. The cons are, of course, it takes a fairly large amount of money to make any real difference. You have to have a significant amount to invest in the first place for it to generate a decent monthly income. The second is that you've got volatility. So in any given period of time, the investment market's going to do this based on past experience. So if that's the only money that you have and you have it that intended for your retirement, it may be difficult to watch as the market goes up and down. But the other pro, of course, that it is liquid. You have good liquidity. So at any time, if you needed money for emergencies or opportunities, most of the times you have access to that money if you're investing it, depending on whether the investments themselves have any restrictions. So that's the first, investing to create income. The second, and one that's probably most familiar to most of you, is real estate. So you take money, a down payment, and you purchase a rental property. The bank finances the rest through a mortgage. Hopefully you get decent tenants in, and they pay you a monthly income. Now, of course, you have to make sure that the income from that revenue property is in excess of what your costs are for the mortgage and for insurance, and depending on what your structure is for paying utilities. Of course, the pro for this is, well, time is a funny thing because time could be both a pro and a con, depending on your engagement with the property. If you want a full-time, hands-on landlord experience, it may be quite a bit of time if you're making repairs and dealing with the tenants. On the other hand, if you're willing to outsource that to a property management group, it may be a relatively low amount of time. The other pro is that in most cases, you're going to have an increase in value on the property. All things considered, especially in markets like here in Victoria, over time, property values do tend to go up. They may have short-term losses here and there, but overall, the property value is going to go up. So it's an increasing asset. The con is liquidity. So if you run into a situation where you need money from the property, it may be difficult to get. You may not be able to sell the house when you need to sell it. You may not be able to sell it for the price you need to sell it. You may have to remortgage in order to pull some of the money out, and that can be a fairly cumbersome process as well. But real estate, it doesn't need often as much money, but depending on the market that you're investing in for that down payment. The third one, and this is becoming more and more popular, especially with the internet making business to business transactions or business to person transactions a lot easier, is developing a residual passive income stream. And what do I mean by that? That means that it's money that's coming in from work that you've done in the past. You did the work once and you continue to get paid. Traditionally, there's two basic ways to do that. The first is some type of an effort. You wrote a book, you wrote a song, you starred in a movie, and this comes in the form of royalties. So every month, whoever that you had the contract with sends you a check for having done that work sometime in the past. Think about people that are in commercials. So every time that commercial airs on television, they get a few pennies, a lot of viewings, all those things add up. The reason that this is a great opportunity now is that things like ebooks. If you write an ebook and have a website to sell that through, you don't even have to touch the book. You don't have to meet the customer. You can put the material up and the sales, if it's popular, and you have to be involved in some level of marketing, that all comes through. The other is residual income from a business structure where you essentially are a store and you're buying the goods through your own store for whatever that is. And then you show somebody else how to set up their store, and some of the goods that they purchase through themselves, you also get a percentage. A little bit of money comes to you. So the more people you show how to set up their store, if hopefully it's something that you're passionate about, whether it's healthy living or whether it's unique goods, that money flows in. Now, where this becomes really powerful is if these individuals are buying from themselves, they're probably going to show somebody else how to do this too. So they may show somebody else how to set up their store, somebody else how to set up their store. And very soon, this network of other people that are doing exactly what you're doing can really cascade. And the great thing about this is once you've got these set up that these people are buying from themselves and showing other people how to do that, you don't have to do anything from it, and the money, as long as the goods and/or services remain valid and it's ethical, then that can be a very, very healthy long-term income stream. What are the pros and cons on a model like this? Well, the pro is it usually takes a very little amount of money to get going. Writing an ebook doesn't cost anything. Usually with this type of residual income model, you have to invest a little bit to purchase the goods in the first place. Maybe there's a membership or a licensing fee with the organization that you're doing this through. But as a contrast, it does take quite a bit of time on the con. So there is a bit of time for you to do something on the effort side, or in here to just talk to other people and market what it is that you're talking about. The cons are, it's time is basically the con. So I hope that's helpful to you on the main three things. If you'd like to know any more information about it, please email me or use the contact information below. I'd be happy to sit down with you and just brainstorm if any one of these three or a variation would be valuable for you in your helping you generate some more money. So this has been Mike Riley with Altitude Financial, helping you gain altitude and gain confidence.